Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke. Donald Trump often appears on Fox, which is ironic because a fox often appears on Donald Trump's head. If you're at the Washington Post table with Trump and you can't finish your entree, don't worry, the fox will eat it.
Oh, Sean, you're so funny, and you sound like a prepubescent boy. Oh! I know this is very hard to believe, but Seth Meyers, he is paid to be a comedian. This dude is paid to make you laugh. That is literally his only job. And it's not like Seth Meyers has to do this alone. He has a team of writers that are overpaid to write this garbage. This afternoon, I have spent a lot of time watching clips of Sean Squires. He has not told a single joke that has caused the nerves in my face to verticalize. The clip I just showed you, that incredibly toxic garbage, it was from the White House Correspondents Dinner from 2011. The best comedian that night was Barry the Obama, and he ain't that funny. Of course, as you just saw, Barry had minimal competition because Sean Squires, he got on stage that night and completely humiliated himself. There are two reasons I'm showing you that old clip. Number one, to my knowledge, Sean Squires was diagnosed with the first known case of OMB. Orange Man Bad! Back in 2011, doctors at Woke Memorial Hospital, they hadn't come up with a name for this incurable disease. Initially, doctors diagnosed Sean with preliminary LGBT. Once more research and data was collected, doctors confirmed that Sean Squires was in the early stages of OMB. Here we are 14 years later, and the disease has gotten progressively worse. The second reason I dug up that old clip, I believe that was the genesis of the legitimate hatred between Don Trump and Sean Squires. Although we didn't know it at the time, the 2011 White House Correspondents Dinner, it changed America. Going into the event, one of the major stories was whether or not Barry Obama was born here in America. Don't you miss those days? Don't you miss those easier times? I would much rather go back to arguing whether Barry was American. If Barry was in the White House today, we would be debating whether his spouse identifies as his husband or his wife. On that night in 2011, Donald Trump was publicly humiliated. Damn near every speaker at the event, including Barack Obama, made it a point to humiliate the Trumper. Many people believe this was the night that inspired Don Trump to run for president. Think about Donald Trump. He has got a long memory. Don is a professional when it comes to holding a grudge. Over the last 14 years, he has destroyed the career of Rose O'Donnell. Hell, he's made Rose so miserable that she moved over to Ireland. Others infected with stage 4 OMB have seen their careers decline. Stevie Colbert was fired by CBS. Jim Kimmel will soon be fired by ABC. Remember Mike Spence, his former vice president? Mike Spence betrayed the Trumper, and no one has seen him since. Over the last 14 years, Don Trump has been very busy defeating his enemies, but that doesn't mean he's forgotten about the little people. That doesn't mean that Don Trump has forgotten about Sean Squires. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. So I can get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at It's Grill 30. One of my favorite things to do to relax, to unwind, is grill. Some dudes find cutting grass to be relaxing. I find the entire process of grilling to be relaxing. If you've ever grilled, you know, one of the most critical steps is seasoning the meat. And some of the best seasoning I found on the market is from It's Grill 30. Seasoning from It's Grill 30 is processed in small batches to ensure the highest quality. There are no fillers, and every container is custom made and processed right here in America. My favorite seasoning from It's Grill 30, Make America Grill Again. Other night, I used Make America Grill Again seasoning on some steaks. Only seasoning I used, my wife said, best steaks I've ever made. With Christmas coming up, this would make the perfect stocking stuffer for the men in your family. So click the link in the description below. Use my promo code BTL15, BTL15. Receive 15% off your first purchase with It's Grill 30. With Stevie Colbert being fired and Jim Kimmel driving the Bruce caboose well on his way to getting fired, Donald Trump has turned his attention to the final huge embarrassing failure in late night television, Sean Squires. A couple of weeks ago, Don Trump got on Social Truth and highlighted the embarrassing failure of Sean Squires. Uncle Casey is right. Sean Squires is a huge embarrassing failure. This dork is the least talented host in late night. While I do appreciate the president recognizing my brilliance, I do have to slightly disagree here. Sean Squires is not the least talented host in late night. That honor belongs to Jim Kimmel. After the Trumper highlighted Sean's failure, he decided to address it on his late night dump. The studio audience, which was probably paid to be there, along with Sean's friends and family who were the only ones watching this garbage at home, they were given proof as to why late night television is failing and potentially going out of business. This should have been simple. The jokes should have written themselves. The president of the country, the most powerful man in the world, he is calling out some doofus who comes on at 1 o'clock in the morning. When compared to the office of the presidency, Sean Squires is the equivalent to a flea on an elephant's ass. This should have been an easy segment to write, yet somehow Sean Squires found a way to fuck it up. Watch for yourself.
When the president posts about me, which he did over the weekend, saying among other things that I may be the least talented person to perform live in the history of television, calling me a deranged lunatic, and commenting that I talked endlessly about electric catapults on aircraft carriers. And look, in general, I try to live by the New Yorker's creed. When someone is ranting and raving about you, ignore them. Chances are they're just going to move on and rant about something else. But there is one thing that I simply have to address. You can say I'm untalented. You can say I'm deranged. But I'm not the one who talks endlessly about catapults on aircraft carriers. Until you said something, I didn't even know aircraft carriers had catapults.
Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder why no one is watching these late night dumps? Outside of Jim Fallon, who is daring to be different by not having an unhealthy obsession with the Trumper, outside of Jimmy Fallon, the rest of these late night dumps are the exact same. Stevie Colbert, Jim Kimmel, Sean Squires, the monologues, the jokes, they're all the same. Late night has turned into three grown men who have an unhealthy obsession with another dude. Then they wonder why no one is watching. Over the summer, Seth Meyers was hovering around 900,000 viewers. Since then, Nielsen has changed their methodology. They've improved the way they determine ratings. For a lot of shows, especially sports, we are seeing drastic increases in ratings. Not Sean Squires. Through 2 weeks here in November, Sean is averaging an abysmal 775,000 viewers. He's down almost 15% when compared to what he was averaging a few months ago. Over the weekend, the Trumper once again got on Social Truth and continued his dispute with Sean Squires. This dork is a loser! Sean has an incurable case of OMB. He's dealing with uncontrollable rage, likely caused by the fact that his ratings suck and he's a massive failure. NBC should fire him immediately. Brendan Carr, the chairman of the FCC, the man responsible for regulating the broadcast networks, he retweeted Don Trump's post about Seth Meyers. I don't like that. I don't care if the Trumper criticizes Seth Meyers, although as president of the country, I think he needs to be focused on things that actually matter. You know, like the spread of communism or the spread of Islamism. I saw a post last night. There have been 48 new mosques opened in Texas in the last 24 months. 48 new mosques in 2 years. That's kind of concerning. The people of England ignored this problem, and look how that turned out. But the reason I don't like this, one, it gives Seth Meyers free publicity. This dude is doing a great job failing on his own. He doesn't need the attention of Donald Trump to give him a temporary boost in the ratings and the illusion of success. But the main reason I don't like this, I don't want the federal government influencing entertainment. If our former fearless leader Johnny B. Biden was doing this, if John Biden was pressuring Spotify to fire Joe Rogan, conservative media would be rightfully outraged. Hell, we were outraged. We were complaining about it when the Biden administration was pressuring YouTube to silence conservative voices. I don't want the FCC pressuring the broadcast networks to dismantle late-night television. The trio of huge embarrassing failures hosting these shows, they are doing a great job of destroying themselves. Stevie Colbert was fired because his dump was losing CBS $40 million every year. Stevie is the most watched show in late night, so imagine how much money Jim Kimmel is losing. Imagine how much money Sean Squires is losing. Sean is on so late at night, the only commercials that run during his show are ads for Miss Cleo, and she's been dead for decades. The Trumper doesn't have to worry about these failures in late-night television. The only thing he accomplishes by demanding for them to be fired is giving them an artificial boost in the ratings. If Don Trump would just ignore them, I promise you, they would go away on their own. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.